Welcome to Caching Waves. This is an Elliott Wave update for MAV. Now, if you're one of the few that watch this, I'm actually surprised that I didn't get more views on this one. But just realize, guys, this is just a little bit of information that if I post like a random coin, that it's because there's really high potential. So if you're one of the few that watch this, it's one of the highest potential coins I see available currently that I've seen. So as of right now, if the pivot holds, I'm going to go into the micro count as well. We're looking at upside, just standard Elliott Wave guidelines, the 1.618 extension as an impulse of an over 500% move over the next couple months. And we're pretty much at the ideal spot for risk reward if it pans out. We're literally looking for a 1-2-1-2, right? And then launch in a third of a third. So I'm going to go over this, but just realize you need to be fully aware we're coming into price discovery and we're actually consolidating above, which is a very good sign. But if we happen to collapse here, then we're most likely going to range for a very long time, just like Flare. Obviously, we're bullish and we expect, my bias is that we get this third wave, but just realize that if we fail with any significance and market structure breaks, then I would probably throw this in the watch list for later in the future, because these tend to just range for a very long time. For an example, look at XRP. That's what can happen. So I'm going to focus on the smaller time frame, but when you see these patterns, it's almost like a cup and handle, right? If you put it that way, or a very ugly diagonal in Elliott Wave terms. Very tough counts, but when you see these sort of patterns on new coins, your bias should just be a diagonal 1-2, and then you watch the price action after the fact rather than getting so obsessed with the count. But as of right now, have this as our wave 1 high and a WXY off the top. It's the best count with the chop. At a WXY came through the 1.618 extension of W wave off the X for our Y wave in that candle. And as of right now, looking at this potentially as a 1 and a 2 in our second 1-2. I'll show you that on the 1 hour. What I'm anticipating here is that this was a diagonal wave 1. We hold the last pivot, wave 1-2, looking for our third wave up to around $1.11. Then we get our fourth wave back to around 85 cents, and then we finish our fifth between 132 and 158, and all that is a second 1-2, so nested 1-2s. But you can see the risk reward, because this is one I'll hang on to for quite a long time. If you were to get in this area, depending where you put your pivot, you can even put it at the absolute low if you want to be safe in case we get one more push down to the 786. But if we go on our larger time frames, this is what I mean, why people should pay attention to the coins I post, because it's just really good trade setup. You can see it's 25-1, right? If we hit our third wave. And it's one of the best setups I see currently. Even out of the last drops, this one didn't make a new low, and because it had a nice diagonal to the upside. This is one of the only ones I saw as a nice diagonal to the upside. Now our correction is complex as well. It looks most likely like a double zigzag, or a zigzag and a flat ABC X ABC, and keeping an eye on this trend line to the downside when it breaks, and probability shift that we're going to the upside at 66.5 cents here. That's when we're unlikely to make another push to the downside once we pass that 0.618 retracement of the move to the downside and probability shift. Just go between the further out between linear and log scale, and that's at 66.50. But if we start to push here to the upside, my targets would be up there at the 1.618 at 111. Even if you're scalping this on the short term, depending where you put your stop, you know, it's still even like a 5-1. But this is one I'd probably let play out all the way, because it's pretty much the best risk reward area possible at the moment. So we'll see if we get this. If we did make one more push to the downside, which again is always possible. We'd want to reclaim that area pretty quickly if this just becomes a ABC, a three-wave pattern, and just gets extended out in time, which is very possible. I'd want to hold this previous area of resistance as support. Anything below major market structure breaks, which on this one to me would be about 38 cents, I would expect we're more likely making that range scenario I suggested to you. So as of right now, have a diagonal mapped out to the upside. Looks good. Areas where we can break down to is at the 1-to-1. Got to keep in mind up there, so I'm going to be moving my stop as we go. Most likely I'll just keep pulling the fibs. This is kind of how I do it from the previous wave. If I want to tighten stop as we go, and I'd put it at the 786. And just as the wave fills out, stop raises higher and higher and higher, right? All right, guys, so that's it for MAV. Pretty nice setup. We're right at that zone we expect to pivot. Want to see this push through the 618 and this trend line with some volume and some speed. All right, guys, that's it for this one. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.